So Cracker Barrel goes woke. Someone said they got rid of the barrel and the cracker. That's hilarious. We'll talk about that coming up here in a second. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. So now Cracker Barrel has gone woke. Man, talk about being late to the party. I thought wokeness was over. So I know you're familiar with the expression they're going to learn today. Apparently, this is inapplicable to liberals. Obviously, Cracker Barrel didn't get the menu that wokeness is over. Have you ever watched a TV show or a movie where there's a big argument and everybody's having this huge falling out over whatever the certain situation may be, and then finally they all get it settled, everybody comes back together and everybody's happy, and everybody's hugging necks and forgiving everybody, and then this one character comes in who has zero ability to read any social cues at all, and he comes running in after the dust is settled and tries to reignite the whole argument again. That's what Cracker Barrel is doing here. They've not learned from the other companies these past few years that have tried to go woke and saw what it did to their bottom line. Now there is outrage of this blowing up all over social media, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely funny. I heard one commentator talking about how they removed the cracker. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. But I will say this, that a lot of the people that are crying foul over Cracker Barrel and their compromise are the same people that have no problem compromising in other areas, especially biblical areas. And actually, what kind of drove me to make this video today was scrolling through Facebook this morning. And I don't know when all this broke about Cracker Barrel yesterday or this morning, yesterday, whenever it was, but I was scrolling through Facebook this morning and saw a post by Brother Stacy Shiflett, and that's what prompted me to make this video this afternoon. Look at what Brother Shiflett says here. I'm watching the mass outrage over Cracker Barrel's logo change and realize that many of these same dissatisfied customers are perfectly fine going to a church that threw out the old Bible, the old hymns, old modesty standards, and old time preaching. New ain't always better. And I say amen to that. That is very true and very real. But see, this is how compromise creeps in. They push the boundaries. Somebody goes nuclear, just goes way too far out there. Everybody's outraged. Oh, how can you do this? How can this be? Then the dust kind of settles down. Then everybody just kind of accepts it. And then the process is repeated and the boundary is pushed just a little bit further. That's how compromise goes. That's how compromise goes in the world, in society, in politics. That's how compromise goes in the church as well. See, that's what happens in the secular world too. That's why you can look back in the 1990s and see videos of the Clintons talking about what they stand for and what they believe in, and what the Clintons, what the Democrats believed in back in the 1990s are more conservative than most conservative Republicans of today. You say, how does that happen? Why does that happen? Because boundaries get pushed, it gets fought against, eventually it's accepted, and then they push the boundaries a little further. Every time that is the process. It never, ever changes. But the problem is this is what happens in the spiritual world as well. Now, I know this is a very controversial topic, and we're not getting into it today, but in the 40s and 50s was not that big of a debate on the apparel of men and the apparel of women. There was always a difference. But in the 40s and 50s, that began to change. Until now, 75 years later, it's not that we don't know the difference between the apparel of men and women. Liberals say they don't even know the difference between a man and a woman. Remember that clip, last year, where that politician couldn't even describe what a woman was? How pathetic. How ridiculous. I mean, where have we come to? Now, wherever you stand on the issue of separation, men's apparel versus women's apparel, you cannot tell me that if the lines were not blurred in the 40s and 50s, we would not have the gender confusion that we have now 75 years later. It wouldn't be the same. This is the tactic that the devil always uses. He just repackages it a little bit differently each time. The same can be said about the Bible issue. The same can be said about doctrinal issues. A church will slip in a few doctrinal changes at first, kind of push the boundaries on where the church has been and where it stands. Some people will be uncomfortable with it at first, but the pastor or the song leader or the youth pastor or whoever it is that's pushing these changes, everybody likes them. They're charismatic. They get along good with everybody, so they don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to go against this person that's trying to bring in these changes because everybody likes them. They're a nice person. Then more changes come in. Sunday school material comes in that's a different Bible version than what the church would traditionally use. Then the drums are brought in, the lights are dimmed, the music, the traditional music begins to change from the old hymns to more contemporary music. Congregational singing is replaced with worship teams. And then before you know it, 10, 15 years down the road, it's not even the same church. They've dropped the name, they've dropped their standards, they've dropped their Bible, they've dropped everything, every doctrinal stand that they used to take is gone. And it slips in little by little, little changes at a time. You see, those little changes seem so insignificant at first. But there again, that's how the devil operates. He never comes at us with something big and open and gross and just so repulsive that we don't want anything to do with it. No, he comes in with a little thing. Just make a little change. Just make a little change here, a little change here, and then before you know it, you get down the road. See, the devil plays the long game. He plays the long game. He knows how to get to us, and he knows we'll reject anything that's big and open and ugly and just repulsive. So he just comes at us with the little things, the little changes. See, this is why the Bible needs to be our measuring stick in everything we do, not society, not social media, not the trends of the day, not the fashions of the day, but the Bible. God's holy word ought to be our measuring stick for everything that we do. See, this world changes, but God never does. In Malachi 3:6, the Bible said, "For I am the Lord, I change not." Hebrews chapter number 13, verse number 8 says, "Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever." God doesn't change his mind on doctrine. God doesn't change his mind on dress standards. God doesn't change his mind on anything that has to do with doctrines or core beliefs. He doesn't change his mind on sin. He doesn't change his mind on separation. He is perpetually and ever the same. That's what the Bible teaches us. Now, some changes are good as long as they're not doctrinal changes. I certainly like having air conditioned buildings to sit in now that they didn't have 125, 30 years ago. I love having padded pews to sit in. There were some people years ago that threw a chain. Oh, they're bringing in padded pews. They're bringing in air conditioning. The church is being ruined. That doesn't go against doctrine. There's nothing wrong with those kinds of changes. I like having sound systems. I like to be able to hear when someone is singing. I like to be able to hear when someone is preaching. I like the ability to use social media to be able to get our message out. See, the problem is not when we change our method. The problem is when we change our message. See, methods change. Years ago, it went from newspaper to uh, television to social media. We went from 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs, and now everything's digital. But see, the method may change, but as long as it's the same message, then that's okay. That's all right. Where we get into problems is when we start crossing doctrinal boundaries. That's where we have issues. That's where we have problems. When we start compromising doctrine for numbers' sake or for reaching people. Now, I am all for reaching people. Don't get me wrong, but they need to be reached with the truth. And if we are reaching people, but we're reaching them with a lie, with bad doctrine, then we're not doing any good at all. We have not accomplished anything. Well, I hope you have a great day. We would love to have you as a subscriber to help us grow our channel and get our message out. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and a subscribe if you would. That would really help us in the channel growth. And if you'd like to hear my take on if we can have revival today, click on the link that's going to appear on the screen here in a second. We love y'all. God bless you, and have a great day.